Good evening, Daz.
Good evening, mate. How you doing? You all right?
I'm good. How are you all settled back after Paris?
Yeah, back to it now. Stopped eating baguettes and taking the garlic off around my neck. Um, but yeah, it was good fun. Like, really enjoyed it. Went and watched the Paralympics on the Friday, the day after my birthday, and yeah, that was absolutely mental. Um, if you want to see like some like feats of physical excellency, should we say? Yeah, that's what you got to go watch. Like you see these guys and girls running with these blades on and stuff like that. They just look like machines, and it's yeah, so impressive to see how like sort of people have adapted to go from like sort of taking their disability and using it like really positively. Atmosphere was really good as well, 80 odd thousand there, so it's really good to see. I've always wanted to go to Stade de France as well, so that was nice. But yeah, it was a nice little short trip, but we've been to Paris a couple of times, so we know where we're sort of going. So yeah, it was a nice little last minute thing for my birthday, really. It was good.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I watched some of the Paralympics when I could, and just how they can do what they do with and they use their disabilities to their advantage rather than kind of think, oh, I can't join in. They go, no, I'm going to do it. And I watched some of the table tennis, and these guys didn't even they had no like central balance, like they couldn't balance. It was their disability, and they have had to use like supportive chairs. And it's like bloody hell, they're so good at table tennis, and you think good on them for wanting to do something with what they can do, and the fact that they're. I think the Paralympics is even better than the actual Olympics because they're doing what able-bodied people can do, but they're actually doing it even better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've watched some of the wheelchair tennis, and like, it's hard enough playing tennis. Like, I'm not gonna say normal, but obviously when you have your full range of like sort of limbs and stuff like that, to see them when they go around in the wheelchairs and playing some unbelievable shots, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It was so cool to go and watch. I'm so glad we went and done it. The atmosphere was really good as well, and it was really exciting. Yeah, so it was good fun. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's then there's so many different levels like and different sort of disability like sort of areas that they do. So it's not just basic. It's you have like obviously learning different disabilities. If someone's just obviously missing one limb, if someone's running with blades or obviously in wheelchairs and stuff like that, it's yeah, it's and you've got some people that had only just sort of had their disability for a couple of years and then they've done this. So it's like it's really good to see that some people have taken obviously something that's in their life probably would have been real negative and turned it to a real positive. So yeah, it was good for the whole heart to go and watch. It felt good afterwards.
That's it. And the one that stood out to me the most was we will get onto Pompey chat in a
Yeah.
minute. Don't worry. The one that I watched, it was a blind man, and he was doing the long jump. And you think of that, and you think, how on earth does someone that's blind know how to do the long jump? And he had his guide with him, and he positioned him at the start where he starts
Mm.
running, and he positioned his feet exactly in the right place, like to the millimeter, to point in the right direction. And then the guide went right down the other end from the platform that they jump, and he was shouting in their
Mm.
language, and he was calling and calling, and obviously maybe 3, 2, 1 or whatever, just to gauge him, probably to gauge his direction to where he needed to run. And the guy started to run, and he was stood there calling and calling and calling the whole time. And then as he got to the jump place, the white plinth that they jumped from, he quickly jumped out of the way. And you think that's just amazing. It
And it's amazing
was
to
me.
see. Yeah, and it's amazing because obviously when they do those sort of things, obviously the whole stadium has to be like literally dead quiet. And to like when they would do all these bits and bobs, especially when obviously they were just starting some of their races, everyone was being quiet, and it was like you had like nearly 80,000 people not saying a word, and it's yeah, it's really good in that sort of sense. Everyone sort of
Absolutely.
plays it, gets on along with it.
Sense of respect for
Oh,
everyone, isn't it?
100%, yeah, like definitely.
Right, so we'll get on with. our now we've talked our Paralympics. We'll get on to Pompey chat. Hopefully, Russ will be able to join us in a quick while. That doesn't even make sense, but we'll go with it. So our last pod, we had Andy Moon on. Obviously, you weren't here, Daz. Just quickly, can we get a very quick, if you remember about the Sunderland game? Was that before the pod?
Yeah. No, I think that
the last pod.
I
don't even remember.
I think it was. That was you did the Andrew Moon pod after the Sunderland game, but obviously because Andrew only had a certain amount of time, I think you had to get on with what his side of it quickly.
If you remember that far back, can you give us a little bit of thought on the Sunderland game?
Well, can we not just talk about the Paralympics a bit more? But no, I think Sunderland did an absolute job on us. And I think obviously both the last, it was 3-1, wasn't it? But both Sunderland and West Brom did a job on us in a certain way, in like their own little ways. Like with Sunderland, especially in the first half, there was nothing in it. Like both teams were just sort of testing each other out. There was no like real side that I thought someone's going to go and win this. I thought this is going to get to half time, and hopefully we'll like maybe make a couple of changes because we definitely needed a bit more pace up top. But obviously that goal just before half time then allowed Sunderland to come out second half and just sort of, they didn't have to do it, like they didn't have to have a go at us. We had to like sort of, we were the ones, the emphasis on us was to go and win or get a goal back and obviously go on from there. And then they just showed their quality in the second half. I mean, don't get me wrong, 2 of the goals were not pretty on the eye, especially the own goal, which reminded me of Cambridge. I think Cambridge at home in like, I think it's 2013 or something like that. That was calamitous own goal. And then the second goal again was just a bit spawny. It was only their third goal that looked half decent, but then again that came from obviously Daz Haz being caught out in the Sunderland half, and they just broke on us. I wasn't impressed with them in the Sunderland in the first half, but in the second half they really showed their quality, and you saw that Joe Bellingham and what's that 17-year-old lad called for them?
Chris Rigg.
Yeah, then they just started turning, and especially when they went after they went 1-0 up in the second half, they could afford to just wait and then like pounce on us. I think they did that pretty spot on. I think we could have been. I know we scored a goal from Luke O'Nien, but I think we could have probably been there till today and probably wouldn't have created anything that of any good substance. But yeah, it was one of those ones where I thought, right, well, Sunderland are top for a reason, but I think we could have done a lot more. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, for me, it was as you say, the first half up until that own goal, which 9 times out of 10 Williams clears that and it doesn't hit Swanson. But up until that goal, it was a fairly balanced game. Sunderland didn't particularly blow me away with the way that they played, but it was more the way that they controlled the game that really impressed me. Especially when, as you said, once they went 1 up and then they got the second early in the second half. It was just the way that they controlled the game. They were fully in control of the game. They were dominating the possession as such. They were happy to let us have the ball at other points, and they were just, even though they've got a fairly young squad, they've got it balanced out with a couple of more experienced players like Luke O'Nien, and they've clearly got a good gel together. And it was just the way that they saw out the game. They nullified our attack completely. We kind of looked lost by the end of it. And maybe Luke O'Nien felt sorry for us, and that's why he went and headed it in his own net.
Yeah, I thought at half time, I said to someone next to me, I thought, I would like to see a change. I'd like to see, obviously, I wanted to keep Sage on the pitch, but I wanted him to go a bit deeper and maybe like someone with a bit more pace up top. I think Yengi could have come on a bit earlier. Maybe he wasn't totally fit to come on, or the Mahoney. lad to come on and just give us sort of so we could stretch them a bit. Um, but then obviously two quick goals, 10 minutes into the second half, and then it was game over, which is a shame because I think if we could have made some positive changes, even at 2-0, I think we could maybe have got ourselves back into it because I mean, we looked better at 3-0, but I suppose Sunderland just sat off, didn't they? Like, and that was the sort of thing when Kamara came on, he looked good, but Sunderland were more than happy to sit back, so Kamara was able to get on the ball a lot more, with a bit more time and move the ball quickly. So I thought, obviously, because people were expecting him or Potts to start I was people thinking it's Saturday, on Sunday. And I think the like Messino might have looked at that Sunderland game and thought, well, Kamara was always going to look okay when he came on because of the time he had. Um, but yeah, I think if we could have just been a bit proactive at half time and make at least one change and like having a proper number nine up there. It's a bit similar to the West Brom game to me, to be honest, was like us needing a number nine on the pitch. I think we could have maybe got something out of it because I don't think Sunderland really settled especially until they got that second goal, and then they started looking like they were going to pick us off whenever they went forward. But I'd rather lose 3-0 having a go than like sitting back on a 2-0 and just playing out for a 2-0 loss. But yeah, I'm glad. Obviously, the majority of the fan base stuck with it. I know, obviously, there was people leaving a bit early, but majority, I thought the atmosphere was all right. Um, but it'll be interesting to see if we come up to November, December, if we're still in this kind of position where the atmosphere will be there like that again.
Yeah, I think I think I wouldn't. I personally leave early. I think I like to stay until the end, but people pay their money. They can leave when they want. They could leave after 5 minutes. They can leave at 95 minutes. It's entirely up to them, to be honest. But I think I would be surprised if people were to turn. They've got a lot of credit in the fact we did so well last year, and if people were expecting us to do what we did last year again this year, then they're the ones that have got to look at themselves. Because as much as we want to win every week, we've got at the beginning of the season, we kind of go, right, last season was great. We only lost 5 games. We won, however, like nearly 30. But this season, it's going to be the other way around. All right, we don't want to only win 4 games, but we're going to win a lot less. But I think as long as we don't performances like Sunday, it was a little bit worrying, but it's still early days, and I'm not overly concerned despite the lack of attacking prowess, because we had no shot on target at all. Again, as you said about the Sunderland game, Sadie looked quite weak, or not weak. He struggled up front because Kyle Bartley and Dan Ajayi are bloody massive guys, and Sadie's found a couple of times against Luton as well that he's not now the strongest person up front. But do you think Sadie needs to stay in the team for Burnley and drop to a 10? Obviously, we know Yengi's now injured for a little while. Maybe he's back, maybe he's not. And the same with O'Mahony. It kind of limits our options up front to basically either Sorensen or Sadie. So what would you go for, Daz?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because obviously Burnley, the way they play, obviously they like to get the ball out from the back, but I think they'll play it a lot quicker than what we used to. With Leeds, I think they like to go a bit longer, a bit quicker. Where I think Burnley, especially with like Scott Parker, likes to sort of play out from the back, but play with pace and get the ball forward quicker. So you're going to need someone who's quite mobile. So I think if he does go up, I'm guessing it will just be Sorensen in that number nine. He'll probably stick with Lang in at 10. And I thought Lang did pretty well because you're going to need someone who's mobile to sort of try and screen and protect the pack and whoever's in there. I don't know if it should be Dazelle or Potts now. Um, and maybe bring on, if we're still in the game, bring on like Sadie in the second half and see if he can sort of bash some lads about. And I think personally, to have Sadie in the 10, I think it'll be so much more. It'll be so much better because he's not dealing with these monster centre backs that you get in the Championship. He'll be dealing with the more defensive midfielders because he'll be dropping in there, and then he can use his strength and have a go and get the ball forward. Then after that, um, I mean, he's been doing well against these centre backs, but he's not going to win as many battles as he did last season, and that's understandable. As you said, look at the centre back pairing of the West Brom lads, and obviously I know with Sunderland, Luke O'Nien is not the biggest, but that is it Don Ballard, I think he's the Northern Irish lad. He's a big boy. You don't realise how big he is until like you sort of see him in the flesh. But yeah, what he will play against Burnley and what I think he'll play against Burnley. It all depends on if he's happy to put Sorensen in. If he is, I think Sadie could drop out. If he's not, then obviously I think Sade will be in there in the number 9 position, just because I just don't know who else could go there. Maybe Callum Lang, or maybe he might look to maybe put Silvera up top, because I know apparently is Silvera like an option up top. I think I saw someone say about it. He was an option.
He can, from what I saw, he can play there, but it's probably not
Mm,
ideal. It's probably more of like a last resort.
yeah.
Um, Going on to players that we I know we're going talking Burnley. We'll go back to West Brom
Mhm.
quickly. Um, Players that made an impact, I thought, were actually the two that have come back from injury, which were McIntyre and Murphy. How did you feel that they both did, considering this is McIntyre's first minutes in what, 7 months, and Murphy's first minutes in a Pompey shirt in a competitive game?
Yeah, 'cause I can remember watching McIntyre in the first half, and I was thinking he was playing similar to the sort of how he started against Northampton. Obviously, that was his first game, well, it was only game, wasn't it, for us? But I thought he started really positively in that game, and he did the same on Saturday. Obviously, apart from the switch off moment, obviously it's him, Ogilvie, and a couple others that switched off when they got their goal in the first like 50 seconds. Apart from that, I thought, as you said, for his first game back, similar to Regan Paul when he came on, I was actually really impressed and how well he settled straight away. Again, I know he probably had a little bit more time because we'd already been down like 2-0 by that point, so West Brom maybe didn't press as hard. Um, but yeah, and Murphy always knew he was fast, but there was the point where the ball got played. I can't remember if it's from right back or from Williams. Ball came over the top, went over in behind their back line, and Murphy was so close to getting to it, and you realise how fast he was then. Um, for I think for Murphy, I think he'll probably feel he could have done a bit better in that final third and a bit more quality in the deliveries and stuff like that. But when he hasn't played for a little while, you expect it. But his athleticism and him like causing issues, I think he'll be a real plus for us on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. He looked really promising. The fact that he was already we've already we've got the pace in like Silvera and Lane, but it seems like Murphy's just got that extra bit than what the pace that they've got. So having him being able to run across the line, maybe inside of the fullback and between the centre half, and kind of then have the ball played, then if he can have that, then he's going to definitely be a talent, and he's definitely going to be a big player for us. Um, Players that struggled, I thought, were Ogilvie again. He seems to have struggled a little bit settling into life in the Championship. He's certainly struggled against pacey wingers. So we had Dan James against on Leeds, obviously, which he gave the penalty away. He struggled again on the weekend. Do you think if Farrell's fit, does he come straight in for Burnley, or do you think Ogilvy's got another couple of goes before Messino feels like there's a change there?
I think Messino will give. Ogilvy a chance, a little bit more extra, because obviously we don't really know how Farrell's going to adapt to the Championship. Like, it's all well and good going from the A League to come over here and playing in the Championship, especially at left back. Because I mean, I've played left back, and obviously you have predominantly more right footers like about playing football than you do have left footers. So you always get a lot of quality that can go down the right hand side. And as you said, he played against Dan James, the lad on Saturday, and stuff like that. You've got some unbelievable wingers in this league, and especially at right wing. I think Ogilvy has struggled a little bit. I think he come under a lot more stick than he probably should have for the goal on Saturday, because it was kind of like a 50-50. He didn't switch off, but he because you could see in his body shape, he was ready for the ball, but he wasn't ready for when the ball got released, and it got really done like quickly. So it was a bit of a 50-50 with him. And then I think obviously with McIntyre not getting across, and then I think Dazelle lost Maja and stuff. It was just, once they got him behind, you could just see him scoring. But yeah, I think Ogilvy will be given a bit more time. Obviously, it depends on that little on that cut to his head. I don't know whether like Messino might be happy with dropping him out, but with Farrell, he's only played. I don't know how much he played in that behind the closed doors friendly against Havant, but it would be. I think it would be a bit of a risk to put him in. But if he's fit and Messino wants him in there, I'm happy. If he does put him in, I just think Messina will give Ogilvy just a little bit more chance. Personally, do you think that?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because they also played a behind closed doors friendly during I think it was yesterday or Tuesday, which both Paul and Farrell played and started. I don't know whether they played the entirety of the game, but I know they definitely got a nice healthy more minutes under their belts. So I think you're probably looking at a back four of Williams or Swanson. I don't really honestly mind which one because they're both probably about par and they're both quite solid. Then you're probably looking at Paul and McIntyre, and then again Ogilvy or Farrell. Farrell is the unknown to us fans, really. Ogilvy is steady, but if he thinks that that's a change that will help, then I don't see why you wouldn't make that. It's not a game that we're particularly expected to win. So would it be better to do it now and like get him minutes and then say he's fresh for the games where we've got Stoke and QPR and Oxford? Would it be better to have him ready and raring for that, rather than getting him playing him his first minutes in those games, and he might not be up to speed? Whereas if you start him now, then he'll be ready for the games where we're more likely to get points from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. It's tough, isn't it? Like, 'cause even though like we've got Burnley and Sheffield United coming up, where games that we don't expect to win, obviously we want to be in them, and I don't see why we can't get something out of these games. There's a reason we're in this league, so we should be able to compete with them. Whether or not we beat them or not is another thing. Um, it's just obviously I think with Ogilvy, the reason he's definitely struggled is because of the amount of quality he's come up against at the very start. It's not even been like we've had. I'm not going to say like Oxford or something, but like a Sheffield Wednesday or Preston or something like that, like mid-table where they can sort of get a little bit of a better feel, because they're coming up against probably some of the best wingers in this league. If not, they'd be able to play bottom half Premier League. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I wouldn't be against Farrell starting as long as he's fit. Like, I mean, we don't know. Like, we're not on the training ground every day, and they're the only ones that know if whether he can do it or not. Obviously, they use like all the data and things like that. So yeah, I'd be happy with him to start. I don't think there's anyone like any player that isn't replaceable at the moment. Obviously, well, apart from obviously you got like Pack, and obviously we haven't got our centre backs back yet. So when they come back in, I think they'll be immovable. But yeah, Farrell, I'd be happy with him to start, definitely.
So we'll go into the midfield then. I thought Dazelle struggled again, or he didn't quite look up to speed as the rest. So with the first goal, obviously we had the quick throw, which Ogilvy and Murphy were having a bit of a disagreement because it was kind of right in front of me or just a bit further down the touchline about tracking a player, and I think you're having an argument already. It's a minute in, like what are you doing? But that's why Ogilvy seemed a bit distracted, and it caught McIntyre out. But if you watch the replay, Josh Maja just basically runs straight across the front of Dazelle, and Dazelle either doesn't know he's there or thinks I'm not going to track him, and I don't know why. But Dazelle then just lets him go, and then he's just completely free. And I'm not blaming Dazelle completely, but he definitely played a part in that first goal. So is he another one that you'd make a change for? Would you be bringing in Kamara or Potts?
Yeah, to be honest, I would bring in Potts, to be honest, and I thought Potts was going to start on Saturday. I think apart from that bit where they scored, I thought Dazelle for the rest of that half was quite positive. I thought he was all right, and then second half he just went missing. Yeah, it was an absolute calamitous start to the game, and it's even more frustrating when John Messina came out and he said that they'd been warned about this. The players had been warned about the quick throw and them getting in behind. So, I mean, it's the old saying, isn't it? First 5-10 minutes, like just be ready, keep it nice and tight, nothing silly, that sort of thing, and then they just sort of made a massive mountain to climb in that first minute. And the thing is, in League One, we might have been able to get away with switching off in the first couple of minutes in the Championship against a team that are going to look to be in that top two. You can't do it. So let's hope that like we learn from these mistakes and like sort of. But yeah, I'd like to see Potts in there. So I think he'll go for Potts because I think Potts is a bit more defensive minded, and against Burnley. We're going to want to be a lot more solid through the middle, and like I do like Kamara, but again I just think Potts might be the right decision to come in. I think we do need to change in there, freshen it up for Burnley. Which one would you start? Would you go for Kamara or Potts?
I think I'd probably go Potts as well. Obviously, we haven't actually seen him yet, so it's hard to tell when you haven't seen a player. The cameo that we saw from Kamara against Sunderland was really good, but as you said, Sunderland were happy to drop off because they knew they'd won the game, and it was similar for West Brom. By the time he came on, we kind of obviously realised we weren't getting anywhere, and West Brom were happy with the 2-0. So again, he had a bit more time on the ball. So I would probably go Potts just to see what he can do. But honestly, it would be either or for me because I think there needs to be a change next to Pack, just to freshen it up, as you say. Just change it if it can help us drive forwards. Then I think Kamara's got the drive on him to push the team up, and then Potts has got more of the technique. And here is where we will welcome Russ. Hello, Russ. We will add you in now.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, mate. All right.
Hello.
Hello, lad. Sorry about that.
That's all right, mate. No worries.
That's absolutely fine. Russ, we were just talking about who we would start next to Pack in the midfield. So Daz went for Potts, and I did too, but I also put a fight up for Kamara. Who would you go for?
I'd quite like to see a midfield three of Pack, Potts, and Kamara. I'd quite like to scrap the 10, to be honest, because we ain't got no one there who's creative enough to play in it, in my opinion.
That's fair. Do you not think if we would drop Sadie back into the 10 where he feels a bit more comfortable there, do you not think that would be enough?
If we're going to play a 10, I would rather Sadie was there. I can't deal with him being up front anymore. I love Sadie, don't get me wrong, but he's not a striker. He don't like. I was talking to someone earlier on Twitter, and they were saying about hold up play is great, and I'm like, and I thought, is it? Like, I must be watching a different Sadie because I don't think his hold up play is good at all. I think he's better when he's sort of driving at teams and people, if you get what I mean, and sort of running at them. And, you know, my other issue with Sadie is I feel like he can only play 45 minutes well. I can't remember the last time he had 2 good halves. He will play really well one half and sort of die off the other, or start slowly but then come alive in the second half. I feel he's more of an impact player. But if I had to go with 2, I would probably go with Kamara over Potts at the moment, just to have that bit of size, athletic ability in the middle to sort of go with Pack where he's not so athletic.
No, that's fair enough. So we're going kind of a bit. It's a mixture, which is good to have different opinions. We were talking as well about what you thought of the injured players that came back. I know we're reversing, but we'll quickly get Russ's opinion on Murphy, McIntyre, and Paul.
It was fantastic to see Paul back, wasn't it? I just feel like he has this just aura on the pitch. And I felt instantly, I know we conceded a goal, but I haven't seen it back, but from my angle, it looked like the free kick we won the ball. I don't know if that's been said otherwise. But we just looked straight away more settled. Couple passes he done were top notch. It looked like he'd never been away. I thought Murphy was probably our best player. I understood why he took him off because of fitness and stuff, but he didn't look like he was struggling at all. So I was quite surprised he was left on. And who was the other one that come back from injury? I've lost.
McIntyre.
Yeah, I thought McIntyre looked fine. Absolutely fine. I quite like this.
So
carry on.
Would you go in for a back 2 of McIntyre and Paul against Burnley? Because obviously Paul's played in the behind closed doors friendly over the last couple of days. So do you think they're fit enough? Would it be worth risking playing them, both of them already?
Centre-backs are different, aren't they, to everywhere else? The movement isn't as much as it. You know, like in midfield, you're up and down. Your wingers, you're up and down. Same with full-backs. Centre-backs, you don't necessarily have to move around a lot there. If Shotnessi's back, I would probably start him over Paul just so he's not rushed. But if Shotnessi is not available, then I would definitely go with Paul. I just think we just need that settled back four now. I think that's what's killing us, is just having these completely different...
It's a mixed match.
It's a complete mismatch, and it's just... And we kind of got away with it for a while. And teams just, you know what to do against us. You know, I still... even the end of last season, I was questioning... I don't know if you've spoken about A-WBA yet. I do apologise if you have.
We have, yeah.
But my quick take on it is I was worried about him last season against Barnsley and Derby, against faster, better attacking wingers. And I feel like so far this season, my fears have been right. I think I brought up in one of the first couple of episodes that I'm not sold on him in Championship.
So would you be starting Farrell then against Burnley as well?
Yeah. Or I wouldn't mind Ogilvie at centre-back. I think that it'll be fine there. The issue of having 3 players in the back line all just returning from injury doesn't sound great, but it does sound better than another makeshift back 4.
Okay, so going on to the Burnley game, we've kind of covered it already. We'll jump onto our fixture predictions. So the last game we did was the Sunderland game, where we all got 0 points because Russ went for a 2-1 win, Daz went for a 2-0 win, and I said a 1-1 draw. So, and obviously, as we didn't actually score the only goal that we had, none of us got any points.
So am I still top of the league with 1 point, yeah?
You are top of the league with 1 point. That's right, 1 point.
Smashing this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So we'll obviously, now we're doing weekly, it'll probably speed up the league a bit more, and it'll make it a bit easier to kind of make it a bit more interesting. So, Russ, can I get your prediction for Burnley, please?
2-0 Burnley. Possibly 4 if we have another
Okay.
makeshift defence, but I'm going 2-0.
Are you? So can you? I suppose you can still pick a Burnley goal scorer if you want to try and get the extra point. If you know who they are.
Just trying to think who they got. I don't even have a clue.
Well, they sold them all over the last few weeks.
I can't remember who's still there. One sec. Who's
I think they've still got that Jay Rodriguez there. Because I think I don't.
Oh, what the ex
I had a look on their website earlier, and he was on their squad list. So there's no doubt. And to be honest, even though he's a scummer, he is quality. He's a very good forward, especially at this level. So it would not surprise me if he pings one top corner.
I'll go with Fleming, who's just their striker.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was going through their squad list earlier, I was like, oh, they've got him. Oh, and him. And they've got him. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be horrendous. But saying that, I'm actually going to be a bit positive. I'm going to maintain positivity. I'm going 1-1. I think we're going to nick a goal on the break and Josh Murphy's going to score. I think we're going to use his pace. We're going to have to... Obviously against West Brom, we were so positive in the first half after we obviously conceded so early, but we just needed that extra quality. We didn't have that quality in that final little bit, that final third, and it's going to have to come at one point. And I'm hoping Josh Murphy's going to score a breakaway goal, whether that puts us 1 up or 1-1. And I think we're going to come away with a point.
Okay, so I'm going to go more kind of Russ's side. I'm going for a 2-1 loss. Obviously, predicting a loss and wanting a loss is two completely different things, right?
Yeah.
Before we end up getting people going, oh, you want us to lose? No, I never want us to lose. I just think we will lose.
I'm happy to lose points if it means we don't lose. I'm just a realist.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I'll go for a 2-1 loss, and I think Blair will score because I think Blair will probably start on the right wing instead of Lane because he impressed me on the against West Brom.
With Blair, he did and he didn't for me. Like I thought he started quite well, but then he sort of went off the boil quite quickly. Or maybe he was just in and out. I just don't know. Maybe it was because obviously the feeling in that second half because it was so different to the first. I thought when he came on, he was pretty positive to begin with, but then he kind of felt like he sort of just went off of it a little bit.
My only concern with Blair, I like Blair. I think going forward, like he just wants to get down that wing and cross that ball in, and it's nice to see someone actually be like that. But my concern is a bit like what you're saying, Daz, is he kind of, if the ball's nowhere near him, he's kind of ineffective. He didn't trap back, he didn't help out. He was just there ready for counter attacks, basically. And it's hard coming on when you're 2-0 down and not really performing. The team's not performing. But I would happily see him in the starting lineup.
Yeah. I think what might have been the case is, which I think for us at the moment, especially in that first half against West Brom, which is killing us, is not having that natural number 9. Because I think in that first half, when Lane and Murphy got down the sides, when they were trying to cut the ball across, like you'd expect from a number 9 to get across the near post, but obviously Sadie wouldn't do that, like just because that's not his game. I don't blame him, to be honest. And obviously when Blair came on, and that might be where I'm thinking he was less effective, was because he was getting down the wing, putting the ball in. But because we didn't have a natural number 9 who was attacking the areas which they would do, and obviously when we had Sadie on, I know Sorensen came on, but again, it's a bit late for me personally. I think if Sorensen had started, I think we could have maybe nicked something before half time because we would have had that bit of extra nous, and that's what you need, especially when you've got those two, Carl Bartley and the other lad, who are big units who just literally headed and kicked everything away. You need something a little bit different and an actual number 9 with natural instincts.
Well, Sorensen wasn't even meant to be in the squad, was he?
No, I didn't realise that.
And he came in last minute.
Baffles me. Absolutely baffled me. I thought he must be injured. Do you know what I mean? When I saw the lineup, and then all of a sudden seeing him warm up, I was sat there like, have I missed something? I swear it said Yengi. And then he come on, and I was like, hang on a minute. So if he was fit, why on earth was he not in the squad?
yeah, it was a interesting choice for me. I mean, I'd rather have two strikers on the bench and drop a midfielder
100%.
than than have only one striker. But at least we got to see him, especially with now we've got O'Mahony and Yengi not available for this weekend. I don't think we definitely need to be able to start Sorensen.
For me, he starts.
Yeah, he does me as well.
I'm a bit like Mousinho said earlier. Well, I think whenever you said it, but it was reported today. You know, that he needs time to adapt and stuff like that. And I just think, well, he ain't going to adapt whilst training. He needs to play. He needs that time on the pitch. With, you know, in League One, you can get away with that and play him in the EFL Trophy, but he ain't going to get that. We're out the League Cup. He can't even play him in that. He has to play, or he won't adjust.
No, that's right. That is it. That is true. Right, so I think we've pretty much covered everything to do with the games. Russ, are you ready to become Warwick Davis?
I am indeed. So, welcome to Haz versus Daz, round 1. So every time I'm host, I should have been hosting today, but I had a situation come up, so I didn't. But this will be the first round. By the end of the season, we will have a winner, and they will get a trophy. I'll sort that out for the Not Ben Cup after my mistake of calling Harry Bent in the first episode. The first round, I already told them what it is. It's tenable. Daz won I'll say a coin toss, a number selection.
Then I lost it, like, because Harry absolutely done me over because he just went one up, didn't he?
Oh,
he did shit out of it.
oh yeah.
But then he's chosen B of which tenable to do, and I would say he's probably got the harder of the two, so he might have shot himself.
Yes.
Great.
I don't know. I think these are easy, but
Justice and karma, that
you
is.
don't know. Anyway,
Daz, he's playing reverse psychology. Actually, I got the easy ones, you know.
right. Harry, are you ready?
Yes. Let's
So for
go.
those who don't know, I'm going to give them both a subject. They have to correct the top 10. And the one, they get 3 strikes, 3 lies, whatever you want to call it. The one who gets the most in the 10 wins. And there is also a tiebreaker, which I'm going to do, even if there is a winner, because why not? So, are you ready?
Let's go.
So, your top 10, Harry, is Pompey's top 10 Premier League appearance players.
Bloody hell. Okay.
That's Premier League appearances only, no cup games.
Yeah. We'll go straight. We'll go. Oh, shit. We'll go David James.
David James is tenable, pretty obvious. He's number 2 with 134 appearances.
That's a good start. That's good. Oh, God. Mind has just gone. Oof. Glenn Johnson.
Glenn Johnson is not tenable. He was actually 11th on the list. He just missed out.
Oh, God damn it, Glenn.
So that's 1 life gone, or
right.
strike, what you want to call it.
Oh, good. I'm trying to think. Herman?
Herman Ariderson, was that? Herman
Yeah.
Ariderson is not tenable.
Oh, God.
I'll just try and think of players who were there for quite a few seasons.
I'm trying to go through like the FA Cup winning team.
Ooh, is that a risky thing to do?
Yeah, it probably is. Oh my God. This is not good at all. Matty Taylor.
Matty Taylor is tenable. Number 1 with 144.
Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill is tenable. Number 8 with 100 appearances.
So how many's that? I've got 4.
Taylor, James, and Gary O'Neill. That's it, isn't it? Yeah, the others were strikes, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Damn it. Okay.
You got any ideas, Daz? Obviously, don't say anything, but have you got things in your head?
Yeah, I'm writing them down. Like, so I've got a few. This is actually well easy, just to let you know, Harry. I'm joking.
Great.
I've only got a
for
few
that.
more, but I'll let you know.
There's probably a couple surprises on there. I will go that.
See, the thing is I'm trying to use the FA Cup team, but a couple of them were only there for like 1 or 2 seasons. So,
Right, I'll let you in just to be nice, as it's round 1. There are only 2 more FA Cup players on that. The rest are not in the FA Cup. Well, let's just say 11.
so Crouchy.
Is that an answer, or are you just like talking about that?
That is an answer.
It's a
But
Pete Crouch who played
it's a nervous
played
answer.
1 season in the Premier League.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
would have played definitely under 38 games. Is
ace that,
definitely
didn't I?
not tenable. So that is 3 to beat. Daz, any ideas on the others?
Yeah, I'll have a guess on some. Sol Campbell.
Yeah, he was 9th for 95.
Was Canu on it?
Yeah, 101 at appearances number 7. That was your 2 remaining FA Cup starting 11.
Yeah, I didn't think either of them were there long enough.
Primus number 4, 113.
Oh,
and like when you said about not the 11, Sean Davis came to mind.
Sean Davis, 102.
How many's left?
1, 2.
2. See, this is the only thing I'm ever good at because just football just sticks in my brain sometimes. Everything else I'm horrendous at. Jesus, I'm trying to think. To save time, I can't think of the other 2 off the top of my head.
The other ones was number 10 was Luar, 87.
I was about to say that actually, yeah.
And number 3 will probably surprise you, but then when you think about it, he was there literally the whole time we're in the Premier League. Any clues? Any ideas? Literally there. Played in the first season in the Premier League to the last season in the Premier League.
Shit.
No, it was Richard Hughes.
Yeah.
Number 3, 114 Premier League appearances. But 71 of them were subs. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Right, so Daz.
Right.
3 to beat.
Okay, cool.
And I'll definitely say you probably got the easier one as well.
Oh, don't say that.
So even though he shithoused you earlier, he shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
So you've got the top 10 Premier League goal scorers for Pompey.
Okay. So Yakubu.
Number 1, 29.
29. There's Canu.
Canu is tenable. Number 4 with 17.
This is gonna be. I'm not sure about this, but Matty Taylor.
Matty Taylor is 5th, number 16. So just 1 more to get the win.
How many goals did Matt Taylor get?
16.
Benjani.
Benjani, number 2 with
Benjani's
19.
number 2, is he?
Yeah, with 19 goals. Jeez. So Adam, Daz, you have won the first week. I will do the bonus round just for a laugh.
Go on.
But it just really others off. Luar, you could well, he was kind of joint second. He's 3rd because of alphabetical order. With same with 19. Jermaine Defoe got 12. Crouch got 11. Gary O'Neill got 11. Cranjar and Sheringham with 9 and 10, both with 9. Right, so who am I? So you're going to get 3 questions. First to shout in with an answer. You get 1 guess per question. There's 3 questions, all right? Who am I? I played with Brian Murphy, Greg Halford and Adama Traore, but not with Pompey.
Jesus. No idea.
So that'd have been someone at Cardiff, potentially.
So did you say there's 3 rounds of this bit?
Yeah. So you can just throw out a name. If you don't get it right, we'll move on to the next one. You might as well throw a name out.
Jesus.
Is it a Pompey, someone that's played for Pompey?
Yeah. So it's a Pompey player, ex-Pompey player. He's played with Brian Murphy, played with Greg Halford and Adama Traore, but not with Pompey.
I'm just going to guess Sol Campbell.
Nope.
No, of course he's played with Drury.
Yep.
Just go Jamie Ashdown.
That's not a bad shout, but Ashdown did play with Halford, didn't he? I'm sure he did.
Yeah, would have done.
Yeah. So, question 2. I played for a team that got promoted last season.
That's nice and
Chaplin?
vague.
No.
Oh.
Again, Chaplin would have played with Brian Murphy.
Oh, of course he did. I just thought maybe Brian Murphy was. Yeah, I was thinking.
You're
not going to tell us what league they got promoted from.
well, that narrows it down to three a league, except for League 2, there's 4. So you got it was Ipswich. Who else went up? Who went up with us? Leicester. You could have. I nearly said Bolton then. Derby or.
Mendes Lang.
He's got it. Nathaniel Mendes Lang.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't count anyway. So
Doesn't count.
that's not the real quiz.
Well done. Yeah, it was Mendes Lang. But 1-0 to you then, Daz. And then in a few weeks' time, we'll have round 2 with completely different sort of questions.
Lovely.
Right. Is there any other business before we end the show?
Maybe just do you want to talk how horrendous the ref was? Because that was up there with one of the worst. I mean, it didn't change the game because West Brom was, especially in the second half, the better side. But I mean, just the whole Swanson debacle when he obviously went up for a header, fell into the advertising board, and how the ref has not stopped the game, and then made the physios run around the pitch. I thought player welfare was massive nowadays, and for him to be spawned out on the side of the pitch, he might not have even been hurt, I don't know. But as a ref, if someone's down like that, who's to know if he's seriously injured? And in those, he must have been there for like a minute to 2 minutes. That could have been so important if he'd have hit his head. So important for the physios to get to him quicker. And then obviously he's got the cheek to book Norris for having a pop at him as well. I just thought the ref was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
He didn't really impact the game as such. Luckily, I mean, obviously the third goal, it was quite clearly not a free kick, but it was a bloody good finish from Mao on both goals, really. But it was just not a good game, and it was pretty woeful. And he was quite happy to. I mean, West Brom played the ref very well. They used that to their advantage, and I think we got frustrated with it. But there's only one person to really blame, and that is Sam Allison, right?
Yeah, I did see the board in his hand. I was like, Jesus.
Even if he's not reffing, he's just there as 4th official. He still curses us because we haven't won when he's been ref. So,
yeah,
Well, yeah, I don't know. You can't blame the ref for the result and the way it was a bad performance, but at least he didn't impact the game. He didn't send someone off for no reason.
Yeah,
No.
and that's that's the thing. The referee didn't like, but it's one of those things, but it's still annoying. Like, do you mean I had a headache after the game? That didn't affect the game, but it was still annoying, and that's the point with the ref that I just thought he'd lost total control in that first half. He was like the Josh Murphy booking for Josh Murphy turning around, just telling it like saying, asking him what that was about. The Kamara and I can't remember their right back when Kamara, like, I don't know if he pushed him or something, and he went down like a sack of spuds, holding on to his leg, and then the ref didn't give anything for either. And I know he's probably just trying to like see the game out, but I mean, the ref's got to make a decision. Either Kamara's done something to hurt this lad, or this lad is diving. So then, like, if you're not going to step like onto that sort of stuff, I just thought the ref was pretty weak. I just thought he was just, I don't know what level he's refed at. But I mean, these refs are meant to be professional these days, especially the championship. But it's just like you just think, oh, the refereeing's going to be a bit better. It's like, nah, no.
It was one of the worst refs I've seen in a long time. I don't like blaming refs. I don't like having a go at refs. But that was shocking, absolutely awful. I know he didn't affect anything in terms of he didn't give a bad penalty or anything like that, but it just continually stopped the flow of play, especially in the first half when we were building a bit of momentum. And what I hated about it was the lack of consistency. We literally only had to touch them. It was a free kick. There was a moment where luckily we got a corner from it. I think it was Lane, one of them was running down it, absolutely clattered him off the ball. But luckily he went out for a corner because he wasn't going to give it. And it was just, next minute, a little hand on their shoulder, they fall on the floor, and they got the free kick, and that just disrupts everything. And West Brom did that well, and it's quite surprising. I've been really surprised how much these better teams in the league just time waste and play up to the refs. It's a real eye opener. I didn't realise Luton were like it, West Brom have been like it. I think Sunderland were probably the only team that's come down here so far that sort of the only team that just was just like good to watch. I don't think West Brom were anything special. I thought we made them look better than what they are. They just time wasted and just made the game difficult for the ref to manage. I suppose the experience of being in the league helped them.
Yeah, I think it was similar to the way I said about before you joined, was the way Sunderland just controlled the game and the way that they saw it out. They got to 3-1, and when West Brom got to 2-0, they kind of knew that was it, and we just lacked that oomph to be able to get back into it. So they kind of knew how to see it out, and when you want to see it out, you do. As soon as you feel that slight brush against you, whether it's on your back or on your leg, you will go down like a sack of potatoes, and you will normally get the free kick, because if you do it on the blind side, so when you're chasing into the corner and Lang is trying to get round the back of you just make sure you bump into him, go down, and you'll win a free kick, which is so frustrating. But I would want us to do exactly the same. It's just great game management, and it's frustrating when it's against you, but when it's for you, you applaud it and you're like, "Well done, lads! You're doing the right thing."
Oh,
just
100%.
Trying to take the pace
We did it
and
at
any
Middlesbrough.
sting. Absolutely, yeah.
But what is the frustrating part was there was no consistency with the ref. I don't mind teams trying to slow a game down or time waste or whatever. That's what you're supposed to do. But when you get a player get absolutely clattered from behind, you don't even get a free kick from it. But then they get one where one of our players just literally barely touches them and they just fall on the floor. That's what is the frustrating part. I expect teams to come down and, time wasting that, but the throwing themselves on the floor has been a real eye opener. Quickly go off subject of the referee. Sorry, just while it's in my head. I was watching a review of our game against Sunderland, and I didn't realise actually Sunderland changed their whole shape to go against us. They moved Joe Bellingham, who normally plays behind the striker, behind the midfield, in between the defensive midfield, so he could literally dictate that game, and it worked. So I thought Joe Bellingham that day was outstanding.
Right, yeah, that's interesting to know actually, because it didn't. He looked like he'd been playing there kind of the whole. I say the whole season, but he looked really comfortable there. And the fact if he's not normally playing that deep, again, it just shows his talent.
I
And
think he's like his brother, isn't
Daddy
he? He can kind of
Bellingham,
play anywhere in the midfield.
Daddy Bellingham must be very proud of his kids and his ball sack. To be honest,
Well, it's straight. I didn't realise until I see Job in person just how much he looks and sort of plays as like his brother. You wouldn't, if he took their shirt off and put just any shirt on with no name and number on the back, I don't think you'd know the difference.
no, they're very similar in stature and everything, aren't they?
But yeah, no, it was interesting to see that Sunderland actually changed the way they play to go against us. And for me, so far, I know they lost to Plymouth, but by the looks of it, they just kind of threw that away. That's a bit of a compliment, in my opinion. And maybe West Brom saw the same sort of weaknesses as Sunderland did.
Yeah, I think for us, like with the West Brom thing, it was a point that I think if we'd have taken our chances, they might have to have adapted. Because I was listening to the PO Forecast lads, and they had a guy from West Brom up on there, and he was saying that if they go 1-0 up, they're going to be happy to sort of sit back and not press and go for that second. And I said to someone next to me before half time, I was like, we've got to score before half time because they're going to come out and they're going to change, and they're not going to play it out from the back as much, which they didn't. They did go a bit longer. They took less risks because they were at a position where they didn't have to. But yeah, I mean, you see the quality in these teams. You said like Joe Bellingham and the 17-year-old lad for Sunderland. I cannot not see them playing for at least a mid-table Premier League side in the next few years, if not higher, depending on how well they keep going. So yeah, it kind of shows you what we're up against, and it doesn't get any easier on Saturday, and then Saturday after that. So
no, and I think what's like as I said to you earlier, I'm glad this podcast wasn't happening Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday because I was just fuming. I didn't even look forward to the game. I just knew we were going to lose, and I hate that feeling because as soon as I see the lineup, well, I sent you that bet thing, didn't I? My bet builder for the game, and that come in at least 2 goals for West Brom, yellow card for Ogilvy, and that Marge would have a shot on target, 11-1, easy money. I wish I put more on it. But it's just frustrating, just not like you're saying that we didn't take our chances. Like, what chances did we have? Like we sort of huffed and puffed. I think that's 3 games now where 2 games where we haven't troubled the goalkeeper at
yeah,
home.
yeah. No, I think obviously like when we said like we didn't take our chances, I suppose it's more like we got ourselves in areas, but then we didn't actually create anything in that final third. Like there was a bit where Lang nicked the ball when they were trying to play it from the back, and it was not far off similar whereabouts he hit it against Leeds. And I
Yeah,
was
that was so bizarre, wasn't
I
it?
was just praying for him to hit it, and I don't see why not. He's got an absolute bullet, and I was like, please hit. And then I think he tried to play it off to Sadie.
Yeah, he did, and I turned to my dad and I said, I don't get why either he didn't hit it or just carry on with it because both the centre backs went to Sadie and it might have been Lane running in or something. They covered that area, kind of parted the sea. He had all this space to run into, and he just tried to pass it to Sadie who had a player marking him. And I just thought that our decision making was so poor Saturday, all game, the whole 90 minutes, defensively and attackingly.
Yeah,
Like,
it just screams of not a settled side. And I think hopefully, obviously, we'll see who plays on Saturday, but hopefully by the time we come to Sheffield United, we're going to have more of a settled back four, at least the 2 centre backs.
I would take out the next 2 games jumping out my seat. I'm not expecting anything out of the next two
No.
games. I think if we get a point from the next two games, I'll be absolutely delighted. But I also would be happy if, especially at home to Sheffield United, I stand up for a shot. Do you know what I mean? It was just, I just sat there the whole game, other than stand up for corners and everything. We literally had sort of nothing to cheer about. And I think that's what kills everyone more is just, lack of chances at home, no matter what the opposition is, not easy to take.
Are we happy to finish there?
Yeah. I don't think we've got anything else to say.
Is there anything else we want to say, or is that good?
No, all good.
Right. So thank you for listening. Hopefully enjoy the Burnley game if you are travelling up, or if you sit there and watch it on a definitely legal stream, then enjoy it from your home. We will see you next Thursday. We are now going weekly to make it a bit more exciting and just make sure we get all the content we can for you guys to listen. So, Daz, thank you very much. Russ, thank you as well. And everyone, have a good evening and
cheers,
goodbye.
guys. See you later.
Bye.